Hey everyone, I'm back with another Pokemon Challenge video. Normally, we do Can I Beat type challenges, but today we're switching things up with a How Fast Can I Beat challenge. Mainly because of the Pokemon involved, and I know for a fact it is 100% possible. Today is the day we're going to see how fast can I beat Pokemon Shield as Champion Leon. If you enjoyed this challenge, remember to leave a like, comment down your thoughts on the run at the end of the video, or leave me some suggestions for challenges in the future. I look into all of them and I appreciate all challenges involved. And I would also appreciate it if you would hit that subscribe button. It's free and you can always change your mind later. Anyway, Leon has one of the most balanced teams in Pokemon. However, his team rotates based on the starter we choose. He will always have the starter strong against yours. So I looked over the teams and decided his Inteleon team is the one I wanted to use. The reason being is, from the three teams, if you choose Grookey, he rotates in Cinderace and Seismitoad. That's two fire types, which I personally do not want. If you choose Sobble, like we are, he'll rotate in Rhyperior and Rillaboom. Now, I personally cannot trade for Rhyperior, so therefore, he's out. And I don't really like that team as much. Lastly, if you choose Scorbunny, he will rotate in Mr. Rhyme and Inteleon, which is the team we're going to be running. Now that we know what we're doing, let's explain the rules. In combat, I can only use members of Leon's team. There's no need for HMs as they've been replaced by other means. No glitches or exploits. No abusing the Dynamax dens for levels, as I've done that before and it ruins the entire experience. And of course, no items in battle, aside from Pokeballs or held items, as this is going to make it so much easier. Anyway, we name ourselves Leon, and then watch ourselves on TV. Then, we watch a Woolo give itself brain damage, and head to Wetchurst to pick up our lesser self with Hop. We then grab ourselves Sobble, have a barbecue, and the next day, battle Hop, who sends out his Woolo first. I use Pound while he tackles me. On the next turn, I Pound once again as he goes for another tackle. And then on the third turn, I take him down with a third Pound. Level up and learn Water Gun. He then sends out his newly acquired Scorbunny, and I go for Water Gun. He uses Tackle twice with the Speed Tie, and I take him out with Pound, beginning our undefeated streak, and also level up once more to level 7. Next, we head into the Forbidden Woods as the brain damaged Woolo went there. We see a ghost, get knocked out, only to be saved by my lesser self. Then we head to the professor's lab and meet Sonia, the assistant. Then we head to Professor Magnolia's house, and once again battle Hop so he can get endorsed for the gym challenge. Woolo starts off, who goes down into Water Guns, as does Scorbunny. However, his Rookity goes down in 1. The undefeated saga continues, with a level up to the double digits. We then get our Dynamax bands from the Wishing Stars, and race to Wetchurst Station, which is incredibly cheap that he wins because it's a cutscene. Anyway, we get onto the train as we get our camping gear, and a watering PC once we enter the wild area. I also transfer over my Gigantamax Charmander from Pokemon Sword, adding our second team member. We then make our way through the wild area and enter Motostoke, and make a badass trainer card in the process. We also get the Mystic Water from our lesser self, realizing we're better. We go and enter the Pokemon Challenge, and give ourselves the number 1. Seems we're Leon, and he has the number 1. Next, we learn some boring history, and then we meet and defeat the Kiss fanboys. Then, we meet our second of 3 rivals, and the next morning go to Motostoke Stadium and start the gym challenge after a total time of 1 hour and 21 minutes. On our way out of Motostoke, Hop stops us because he wants to fight again. Please stop with every route battles. Anyway, starts off with Wulo. I send out Sobble and go for Water Pulse as he uses Tackle, and he goes down to a second Water Pulse. Next out is Scorbunny, who uses Quick Attack, and I one-shot him with Water Pulse. Last is Rookity, and I switch into Charmander and go for a Dragon Breath, get the paralysis off. Rookity then goes for Peck, and Ember going next, and now he can't attack us because of the paralysis, and I finish him off with a Scratch. Our undefeated streak continues. Piss off. On our way to Turffield, Sobble evolves into Drizzile, and Charmander evolves into Charmeleon. And then at the end of the Galar Mine, we meet our final rival, Bede, who battles us. Starts with Solosis, and I send out Drizzile. Go for Water Pulse to one-shot. Gothita comes out next. I use Water Pulse again. He goes for Tickle. I Water Pulse once more to knock it out. And last is Hatenna. We use Water Pulse and confuse him, but he lands his confusion, and we go for Water Pulse again to win us the battle. We then meet Milo just outside of Turffield, and his Wulo beats me up. You saw nothing. Then we listen to Sonya's useless history lesson again, and take on the Turffield gym. Once we clear the gym mission, we reach Milo, who starts off with Glossifer. I instantly Dynamax Charmeleon and one-shot with Max Flare. Next is Eldegoss, who tanks a Max Flare, uses Max Overgrowth, and then one more time I go for Max Flare and a Max Overgrowth in return, before we lose our Dynamax form, and I use Ember to win us the fight and earn the Grass Badge at a time of 2 hours and 5 minutes. On our way to Holbury, we once again beat up some more Kiss fanboys and take a bike. Then we see Hop. No! Can I please have a route with no rival? Fuck! Anyway, we start off with Charmeleon. He uses Ember while Wulo double kicks. I Ember again, and he goes down. Next is Squire. Takes Ember, uses Pluck, he gets a crit. I Ember again, he uses Leer before using the Super Potion, as I Ember twice. Then he goes for Fury Attack, taking us out. Drizzile comes in, and we get hit by Pluck before taking him out with Critical Water Pulse. And last is Raboot, who uses Double Kick, and then goes down to a single Water Pulse. That was actually a pretty close battle. Before entering Holbury, I do a bit more training. Once we do enter, however, Elenia, which is Chairman Rose's assistant, tells us to go get that gym badge so we can have some dinner at the seafood restaurant with Chairman Rose. We do just that, but she's not at the gym. We gotta go to a lighthouse and basically say, "Bitch, get to your gym!" She listens. We then clear her gym mission, and she starts off with Goldeen, who gets swifted by our Drizzile. She goes for Agility, followed by a Horn Attack now that she outspeeds us, and we take her out with another Swift. Our Akuta comes out, and I decide, Charmeleon, go in there and take some hits. So we do just that. She Aqua Jets as we Dragon Pulse a few times, and then we take it out. Last, however, is Dreadnought, and I decide, bitch, I'm getting one more fight in you. So we go down to a Max Geyser after getting off a Dragon Pulse. Drizzile comes in, and I Dynamax myself. We get hit by Max Darkness, as we use Max Darkness ourselves. This goes on for another turn as a Max Darkness hits, but this time I go for Max Strike. She loses her Dynamax form and uses Razor Shell, leaving me at 1 HP. We have to take her out with Max Strike, which we do, earning us the Water Badge at a total time of 3 hours and 7 minutes. That fight could not have been any closer, and we remain undefeated. Now that we have the Water Badge, we go have our lunch with Chairman and Sonya. Then head in and Galar Mine 2, where Bede is, who wants to fight. At least it's not Hop again. He starts off with Solosis, and I start with Charmeleon. We go for Slash as he hits a Psyshock. I Slash once more, knocking him out. And next is Gothita. We go for Attract as he uses Psyshock, Dragon Pulse, and he's immobilized and goes down to a second Dragon Pulse. Third is Hatenna, and we go for Ember before going down to a Psybeam. Drizzile comes out and fails a Sucker Punch as Bede uses a Super Potion. We then Sucker Punch again, this time hitting our target, and Ember hit by Psybeam, a Water Pulse to finish him off, and last is Galarian Ponyta, a Sucker Punch as he goes for Confusion, and I use Water Pulse on the next turn to get us the win. As we go to exit the second Galar Mine, we have to beat up the Kiss fanboys again, with the assist, quote-unquote, from Hop. We watch Kabu then insult them, and take on Marnie in a Badoo Drop In. What's with all these rival battles, man? I head into the Motostoke Stadium, and see Hop immediately get flashes of no, no, no. But he's telling us that he's already done his thing, and we clear the gym mission. And it's time for Kabu, who starts off with Ninetales, and we instantly Dynamax, and I go for a Max Geyser to one-shot. Same against the Arcanine, and last is sent to score 2 Gigantamaxes, but still gets one-shot by Max Geyser, getting us our easiest win yet, and the Fire Badge at a total time of 3 hours and 53 minutes. Now that we've got the Fire Badge, we can add the next 2 members to our team. The first one we can find on Route 6 after taking out the Kiss fanboys with the moral support of Hop. And we meet the 5th gym leader. Holy shit! Look at that nose! What the fuck? Anyway, the encounter on this route is Axew, which we find after searching for an hour. It's a 1% encounter rate in Shield, 2% in Sword. God damn it! Anyway, while looking for Axew, Drizzile and Charmeleon evolve into Inteleon and Charizard. The second Pokemon I can find is Hondedge, which we find in the Hammerlock Hills in certain weather conditions. Anyway, I trained them up, and they evolve into Doublade and Fracture. Now, we travel through Route 6 and into Stillonside, where we grab the Dusk Stone from behind the Poké Center. We're gonna need this for evolving Doublade later. On our way to the stadium, we run into Hop, who wants to... That's it! I fucking had it! No more rival battles aside from the Champion Cup in these challenges, period. Too many! 13 is too many! Now that that fucking waste of life has been defeated, we enter the Stillonside Stadium and take on the gym mission. Once it's been cleared, we face our first exclusive gym leader in Alistair. If this was Pokemon Sword, we'd have B, who uses fighting types. Anyway, Alistair starts off with Galarian Yamask, and I go for Doublade. I use Night Slash as he uses Hex. I then take him out with another Night Slash, and he sends in Cursula. Go for Night Slash to one-shot. And next out is Mimikyu, who goes for Hone Claws, while I use Iron Head to remove his disguise. Hone Claws again, while I use Night Slash, and he goes for Baby Doll Eyes, while I Night Slash again, but he barely hangs on before using Shadow Sneak, and we hit one last Night Slash to take him out. Finally, Gengar comes in, and we switch into Fracture. I Dynamax, and he Gigantamaxes, and goes for Max Ooze, while I use Max Darkness, and he barely hangs on before taking us out with another Max Ooze, and I send out Doublade again to try and outspeed with Night Slash, but we fail, and he hits us with G-Max Terror. Bit of an overkill at 3 HP, mate. Anyway, I send in Charizard and hit Air Slash to get the win, earning us the Ghost Badge at a time of 6 hours and 49 minutes. We then head through the magical forest and into Ballonia. Ballonia? Who knows? Anyway, we head straight to the stadium and take on the gym mission. Once it's clear, we take on Opal. She starts with Galarian Wheezing, and I start with Doublade. She goes for Fairy Wind as I use Iron Head. And then, my speed races because of her quiz question being answered correctly. I slash to finish her off, and next is Mawile, so I send in Charizard to one-shot with Flamethrower. She then sends in Togekiss while I send in Doublade again, and she goes for an Air Slash as I Iron Head. Got my defense and special defense raised by correct quiz question, and then we trade a few more times before I take her down, and last is a Giant Cake when it Gigantamaxes. What she does, as we Dynamax ourselves, get hit by G-Max Finale, and one-shot with Max Steel Spike, earning us the Fairy Badge at a time of 7 hours and 15 minutes. Next, we return to Hammerlock to laugh our ass off at Bede, and head east to the town exit, bump into Sonya, our lesser self, and watch the battle. No. So I embarrassed the shit out of him. Now that I've dealt with Bitch Boy, we head north to Chichester and take on the gym challenge there. Once we completed the gym mission, we face Melanie, the second and last exclusive gym leader. If it was Sword, we would be fighting Gordy with rock types. Anyway, Melanie starts off with Frostmoth, and I take it down with one Flamethrower, and next is Galarian Darmanitan, who eats one Flamethrower, Ice Cube, one Flamethrower, and Lapras then comes out. We both Gigantamax. I use G-Max Wildfire and deal a fourth of her HP. She uses Max Geyser, as I go for Max Airstorm before going down to another Max Geyser. I then send out Doublade for Retaliate, but we don't get the chance as we're outsped and one-shot by Max Geyser. But in a funny twist of events, we win because Lapras faints to Wildfire's chip damage from earlier, getting us the win and the Ice Badge at a time of 7 hours and 47 minutes. Once we exit the stadium, Sonya tells us to come to the barbecue restaurant, and then we head to the Hero's Bath and battle Hop. Now that Hop's out of the way, we find the Kiss fanboys again, and we get a water bike. Once we reach Spikemirth, the doors are locked, and Marnie shows us a way in, but wants to battle in return. Spikemirth City time, and the whole city's the gym apparently. Once we get through all the grunts, we face Piers, who starts off with Scrafty, and I start with Charizard. We go for Air Slash, and uses Payback. One more Air Slash takes him out, next is Malamar. So I go for Flamethrower as he goes for Night Slash. One more Flamethrower before I take him out, and third is Obstagoon. So I switch into Inteleon and attempt U-turn, but he uses Obstruct, which lowers our defense and also protects him. I then hit U-turn for very little damage, and decide to switch into Charizard. I eat a counter before using Flamethrower, but then I go down to Throw Chop on the next turn. So we send out Doublade and get hit by Shadow Claw before hitting Retaliate to knock him out. And last is Stunk Tank, who goes for Screech. I go for Iron Head. We repeat this process, and then he Sucker Punches us, taking us down. So I send in Inteleon, where I get hit by Sucker Punch, but then land a U-turn for the win, getting us a Dark Badge at a time of 8 hours and 35 minutes. As we exit the city, a giant fucking tremor occurs, and Leon is there to save the day. Nah, it's just our lesser self. And there's a Dynamax Pokemon. He tells us to go face Raihan while he attempts to overcompensate, realizing that I'm going to take his title soon. So once I enter Hammerlock, we talk about more story crap and then head for the stadium to face off against Raihan. He starts off with Flygon and Gigalith, and I start with Inteleon and Fracture. Inteleon goes for Snipe Shot on Gigalith, and Flygon hits us both with Break and Swipe. Then Fracture hits Dragon Pulse on Flygon, and Gigalith goes for Stealth Rock. Next, Inteleon knocks down Flygon with a critical Snapshot, and Fracture hits Dragon Pulse on Gigalith again. Raihan then sends in Sandaconda. I Dynamax Inteleon and go for Max Geyser on Sandaconda to one-shot. Fracture knocks down the Gigalith with Dragon Pulse, and last out is Duraludon. Inteleon uses Max Hailstorm, and Duraludon Gigantamaxes and uses G-Max Depletion to take out Fracture, and I send in Charizard, who goes for Flamethrower to knock him out, winning us the Dragon Badge at a time of 8 hours and 55 minutes. As I exit the stadium, Sonya officially becomes the new professor, and I head for the Lake of Outrage to catch our 5th team member, Draglock. I then head for Hammerlock Station and take the train to Route 10. Once I head outside the station, I catch our last team member, Galarian Mr. Mime, and head towards Winden. On our way, Mr. Mime evolves into Mr. Rhyme and Fracture into Haxorus. Then we enter Winden, home of the Champion Cup. I begin the Champion Cup at a time of 10 hours and 29 minutes, and the first battle is against Marnie, who starts off with Liepard. So I start with Doublade, but instead I switch into Draclock. She goes for Nasty Plot, then Torment, and I use U-Turn and switch in Charizard. I go for Flamethrower as she full restores, but I one-shot it anyway. And next, she sends a Morpeko. I stay in and go for Flamethrower, and one-shot again. Third is Crafty. I go for Air Slash to one-shot yet again, and fourth is Toxicroak, where I switch into Haxorus. We go for Dig to one-shot, and last is Grimmsnarl. Switch back into Charizard, we both Gigantamax. I one-shot with G-Max Wildfire, getting us the win and advancing to the final match. Next is Hop, who starts off with Dewpool, and I start with Charizard. I go for Flamethrower as he uses Cotton Guard, then he full restores, so I go for Flamethrower twice to knock him out. Next is Pinchurchin. I swap into Haxorus, go for Dig to one-shot, and third is Snorlax, so I swap into Draclock. I go for Flamethrower, he uses Heavy Slam, I go for Takedown, he Heavy Slams once more, and I use U-Turn and switch into Mr. Rhyme. He Heavy Slams as I go for Psychic, but I go down to another Heavy Slam. So I send in Draclock to take down Sacrifice, but miss and go down to a Heavy Slam. And decide that Doublade is the next one to come out and go for Retaliate. So he gets knocked out and goes in for Corviknight. I swap into Charizard to one-shot with Flamethrower, and last is Cinderace, so I swap into Inteleon, both Dynamax. I go for Max Geyser to one-shot and win the fight, completing the semifinals of the Champion Cup at a time of 10 hours and 47 minutes. Then we deal with some cutscenes, and we take out the Macro Cosmos people and face Alenia at the top of the Rose Tower. Once he's defeated, we can move on to the Champion Cup Finals, where first it gets interrupted by Bede, who starts off with Mawile, myself Aegislash. I realize my bad matchup and lower his attack with King Shield before switching into Charizard, who gets hit by Crunch before taking Mawile down with a singular Flamethrower. I then switch back into Aegislash with Gardevoir and get hit by Psychic before one-shotting her with Iron Head. I stay in for Galarian Rapidash, go for King Shield, he hits Psycho Cut as I go for Iron Head, taking him down in one hit. Hatterene is next, and we both Dynamax and I one-shot Max Steel Spike, getting us the win, allowing us to start the finals. The next match is against Nessa, who starts off with Golisopod, and I start with Draclock and go for Flamethrower, getting hit hard in return by Shadow Claw. I then go for a U-turn and send in Mr. Rhyme to get hit by Shadow Claw before going down to Psychic on her next turn. I stay in for Seeking, getting off another Psychic after her Aqua Ring. She then takes me down with a Mega Horn. I send in AG Slash to go for a Sacred Sword to take her out, and decide to stay in and King Shield against Barraskewda. Next turn, I get hit by a critical Drill Run before landing a powerful Sacred Sword, and she goes for the full restore while I King Shield. She goes for Drill Run again, as I Sacred Sword once more before another King Shield. She goes for a Throat Chop, leaving me low as I take her out with a final Sacred Sword. I decide to sacrifice AG Slash to Pelipper with one last Night Slash for some damage. So next I decide to send in Inteleon and go for Ice Beam, taking down the Pelipper as I switch into Haxorus for Dreadnought. We both Dynamax. I go for Max Quake, she goes for Max Darkness, but another Max Quake gets us the win and advance to the semi-final match. Alistair is my next opponent. He starts off with Dusknoir, as I start with Haxorus and go for Crunch, as he misses Rock Tomb. Another Crunch takes him out, next is Chandelure. Crunch again, this time one-shotting, and Poltergeist is now out. He goes for Protect, as I Crunch at the protection, going for Crunch one more time, getting another one-shot. Fourth is Cursula, who, you guessed it, gets one shot by Crunch, and last out is Gengar, who Gigantamaxes alongside my Dynamax. I go for Max Darkness, one-shotting, getting a flawless, full health victory, and advancing to the final match. And lo and behold, it's Raihan, who starts off with Torkoal, as I start with Mr. Rhyme. Realizing my mistake and immediately switching into Inteleon, he hits me with a massive Solar Beam. I then use Snipe Shot, he hangs on with 1 HP, and takes me out with another Solar Beam. So I send in Charizard as he full restores, and I go for Air Slash twice to knock him out. Switch into Mr. Rhyme as Goodra comes out, and he goes for Rain Dance as I go for Ice Beam, dealing massive damage. Another Ice Beam, this time outspeeding, knocking Goodra out. I switch into Haxorus as Turtonator comes out and go for Dragon Pulse as he uses Sunny Day. Then take advantage of his not attacking me, and Dragon Pulse again, taking him out. I decide to stay in for Flygon and use Dragon Pulse again, where he decides Sandstorm is a good idea. This again wastes a turn where he really needs to start taking me out. But I take him out with another Dragon Pulse, and last is Duraludon, and we both Dynamax, and I Gigantamax when I switch as I stay in. Go for Max Quake, he one-shots with critical G-Max depletion, and I send out Charizard to get the win with Flamethrower, completing the finals of the Champion Cup at a time of 12 hours and 46 minutes. As I head out to the pitch to face off against my lesser self in the championship match, Chairman Rose decides to go, "Fuck you, I do what I want!" And now we have to go, "No, now I have to stop you!" So Hop and I head to the Forbidden Forest and get some tetanus from some rusty swords and shields, and then save the day against a deadly dragon. Not just once, but twice, as he forever sits in my Premier Ball. Along the way, Dracloak evolves into Dragapult. Then it's time to do. Oh wait, this isn't Yu-Gi-Oh! It's time to beat up my lesser self, who starts off with AG Slash. So I start with Charizard, accidentally Gigantamaxing, not thinking, and one-shot with G-Max Wildfire before he sends out Rhyperior, who tanks a G-Max Wildfire and one-shots me with a 4-time super effective Stone Edge. I then send out Inteleon to take him out with a Snipe Shot. I then switch into Mr. Rhyme as he sends in his Dragapult, who hits me with a Shadow Ball, almost taking me out before getting taken out himself by an Ice Beam. I decide to send in my own Dragapult as he sends in his Haxorus. I use Dragon Darts, getting a critical, taking him down. I stay in for Rillaboom and use Flamethrower before he uses Drum Beating, dropping my speed before using High Horsepower. I Flamethrower again, and he hangs on with a sliver of HP before full restoring as I go for U-turn, switching in to Mr. Rhyme. He doesn't last long, however, as Rillaboom takes him down with another high horsepower. Dragapult comes back out, and I go for Flamethrower. He takes me off a high horsepower though. Haxorus comes out, and I take him out with a Crunch. And I stay in for his ace, Gigantamax Charizard, and get hit by a Max Rockfall and go for Crunch. Next turn, I go down to another Max Rockfall, and I send in AG Slash to attempt King Shield as he goes for G-Max Wildfire. The Gigantamax comes down as he Fire Blasts, taking me out, leaving us both with one Pokemon. Charizard versus Inteleon. He outspeeds me and hits me with Air Slash, leaving me at 62 HP as I hit the Snipe Shot, taking him down, winning us the battle, and winning us the title of Galar's second undefeated champion, Leon, at a time of 13 hours and 33 minutes to end the run. Alright, so at the beginning of this whole thing, I predicted it was going to take me 8 hours, but I forgot just how many cutscenes were in this game, and I didn't realize how rare some of the Pokemon on his team were. I mean, Axew and Dracloak took me 2 hours of that time alone to catch. Overall, this was very easy to do. The only reasons it took me so long is because I took long breaks in between recordings at times. This could have been done in a week, to be honest. Anyway, my next challenge was decided on Twitter. Look forward to Can I Beat Pokemon Black with a team of one Kirlia. Anyway, that's it for me, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.